What's good, YouTube? World War X, the hidden UFO war nobody talks about. I go by the name Pushy Push. If you have a TikTok, you can check me out at pushy.push. Also, drop a like and subscribe right here to my YouTube at Pushy Push. Definitely would appreciate that, family. But let's jump into this one right here. So, when you look at this picture or this coin, I want you to leave a comment down below. What is your first thoughts when you saw this coin? When you're looking at this coin, what is your first thoughts? See, I have a question that I've been asking myself. Can coins speak like a book? That is a question I've been asking myself because I realize a lot of the books were burnt and a lot of stories are possibly forbidden to be told. So I believe, people have tried to rewrite those stories in the form of coins, images on the coins. So when you're looking at this image right here, you know, um, that's not a hat at the top right there. That's not a hat right there. That is a UFO. And if you look, the lines that are coming out underneath it, that is a family tree. One for the male and one for the female. But that is a family tree right there. So that is a UFO with a family tree. If you look to the right there, you can see the UFO. So that UFO, I believe, has came, and it hasn't came alone. It comes with conquerors, in my opinion. But that is a UFO, and that is the DNA right there that is coming out of that right there. So in my opinion, we have like some type of species or the arrival of other beings. And I also believe that these beings have mingled with us. So as we go on, we're going to discover what these people are right here. But underneath the UFO is this symbol right here. And it looks like a cross, but it's a double cross right there. And most people associate that to Jesus, or the two other people who died next to him. But I wanted to share a verse because I don't see this no longer as a symbol of Jesus. I actually see this symbol as a early form of what I would call a DNA symbol. So to the right, which is Acts 5:30, it says, "Then the God of our father raised up Jesus, whom you had killed by hanging him on a tree." So I have this thought in my mind that quite possibly, no one died on the cross, and quite possibly they took a martyred person and placed them on their bloodline symbol in order for that symbol right there to have power. So I kind of see that right there as not necessarily the cross uh, Jesus or Yahshua died on right there. I see this as a bloodline symbol, and I'll kind of show that right there. But you see, it's a UFO. It shows the family tree on the left and the right, and it has the symbol what we associate to religion. But I'm saying this is the symbol of their bloodline. Right here is a great example right here. So if you look at the priest to the left, he has the long pole in his hand and those two lines right there. So it's the exact same thing that's underneath the UFO, the pole with the two lines. What I've learned is the pole represents the human body, and one line going across is the DNA, say, of a snake or a reptile. And the second line going across is that of a particular bird that eats other birds. So I'm saying that there is two animal splice DNAs that exist in people. And this is the symbol that this priest holds because he is a part of that DNA right there. And I'll show later on why I say this priest right here and many other priests. But this is the symbol he holds in his hand. And this symbol is right underneath the spaceship right here on the coin in the middle. If you look to the right, this is how we are taught that Jesus died and there was two others with him died on the cross. But just like I was showing you that certain parts of the Bible would say Jesus was hung from a tree. And if that's the case, then I would say that this symbol right here is a bloodline symbol, meaning that it's three bloodlines, one for reptilian, one for an actual bird-like species that was mixed with man, and the third line up there is the representation of someone who has all the DNA inside of them. So, in my opinion, I believe that they took martyred people, people who died for a cause and was recognized by a large body of people. And I believe that they put this right here on top of the cross right here. So these are all symbolic symbols right here. The whole thing with the idols on there, they don't belong on there. That's why I was showing the scriptures. Quite possibly someone was hung from a tree. If you look, it has the two lines, so it's missing the third. And you would ask yourself, well, why does the priest represent, you know, two of the lines and not the third one? And some would say, well, the other one was innocent and the other one was a thief. So I don't really know. Those are the excuses that we are given. But how I see this is a bloodline right here. This is three DNA stripes right here that represents a particular line of people. And I believe they put Jesus and the other two guys on here so that this symbol would have power. So I'm saying something came and fought us and then placed a symbol for us to praise. We'll go into this a little further. Right here is some great examples right here. So when you look at this coin right here to the left, right here at the top, you can see this eye and it's in a cloud. And we want to remember that right there. Some of the like the symbolatry with this is the factor of it being in a cloud, this symbol. So we're going to also learn what is in the cloud, what is the holder of this eye. But if you notice that there's a crown on top of the world, and if you look to the right, there is also a crown, but it's showing almost like two worlds. And what this is showing is that there is like an outer force that has came and taken over our world, has literally conquered us. The second one, the second picture, coin, it shows what could be two worlds, but I can also see it as two hemispheres, you know, like both sides of our world. And this symbol right here is saying that, you know, this world was conquered, both hemispheres right there. And if you look right here to the furthest, you can see people holding that pole right there. And at the very top where the hand is, the name Yahweh sits right there at the very, very top. So this right here is showing you basically the conquerors, you know, that has taken over. If you look down to the coin to the far bottom, you'll notice that it has like the two pillars in the same, but they have a sun right there. And you can see the waters right there. So this is the ones who, in my opinion, flooded the world. So this is their dominance showing on the coins right here. So the very alien in the beginning, the UFO, this is their symbols to me right here. And the coin at the bottom is the beginning of the revealance of who they are. So this isn't anything that comes from the Most High, we're talking about another group of people. You know, it doesn't have to be aliens, as in something that looked like a prey mantis. It literally, to me, is human-like people, possibly with a particular animal DNA in them. But what we're going to start looking at is this coin at the bottom, because this reveals a face right here. First, we're just looking at an eye, but this reveals a face, and all these coins right here are showing something that has taken over both hemispheres of our world. So I believe this is telling us, you know, we have been conquered. As we get, you'll see the sun and the moon right here. The sun and the moon is symbolic. They're basically a male and a female. The male is the sun, the female is the moon. So they're symbolic. These beings like to use nature to say, maybe show what type of dominance they have. But the sun is the male and the moon is the female. And it's just like the last picture right there. You can see the guy coming out of the water. So this entity definitely flooded the world. And there's this face, and these are the same faces. The star fort, the city grids that we had during this time period were star forts. They weren't like the city grids we have now. They were literally star fort cities. And we have like this entity basically like attacking these star forts right here. So there's a name at the top, because you can see people basically going into this star fort like it's being attacked. It says Mosa. And, you know, they mess with the vowels. So if you was to change that to a E, that could possibly say Moses. So is there a Mosa? Mosa and Moses, are they the same? And then if that's the case, would the story of the Old Testament be in the right timeline right there? See, the question becomes, who is writing our stories? But this is a revealance right here that there are beings that has taken over, you know, our world. So you can see the one to the right is coming out the water. Same thing. These are beings right here, but in particular, a king and a queen. This is very interesting. I've shown this before, but I didn't make the connection like how I'm able to now. So something that I'm noticing is that the coin and the illustration is the exact same event. They are happening at the exact same time. The coin is showing a sun face, just like what we saw earlier. And then there's the moon. That is the female and the sun is the male. On the illustration, you see the sun right there, but the difference is it's sharing two faces in one image. So the sun right here, that is what's on the coin. And then half that face image is the moon, which is over there also on the coin. So this illustration is showing the sun and the moon in one image. If you look below on the right side where the moon would be, there's a plume of smoke. If you look on the coin, that same plume of smoke is right there. So this is a star fort city in the illustration and a star fort city on the coin. What separates the two? The illustration is showing a battle in the sky, and the coin is showing a battle on the ground. But this is the same image. The illustrated piece and the coin are the exact same thing. And this is what I mean when I say, can the coins, you know, can they speak like a book, you know? But these two are the exact same pictures right here. They are the same, and they're matching up with the other images. So there is a war, obviously, that has happened that our books have not been permitted to talk about. Possibly they've even burnt those books. So this is the reason why you're seeing this in illustrations and coins. But if we put this together in a bigger perspective right here, you can see on the left the sun and the moon is coming out of the water. So these are the ones to me that flooded the world in the past, and are the ones who are causing the chaos during possibly our last paradigm. But if you notice above the sun and the moon, there's a cloud up there. And this is where the revealings start to come, because the gold coin is showing you who is the sun, and the darker tone coin is showing you who is the moon. If you notice, they're both in a cloud. The guy with the triangle above his head and the female holding a child. They're both in the cloud. They're both above a star fort city. The difference is the guy is attacking the city that he's in, and the ground is attacking the city also, the same way as the silver coin right there. So there's the moon, that's the female. There's the sun, that's the male. And you can see that there's a war from the ground into the air. Well, that's the same thing on these coins right here. There's a ground and air war, and there is a male and female, like a king and queen, who is waging war, far as I'm concerned, with our last paradigm. So the sun and the moon, those two images are the two that are on the coin right there. To bring it to a more realism situation, the coin in the middle, the gold coin, that is the guy. And if you look to the right, you can see the female, she's in the darker tone, she's in a cloud. I'm saying they're both in that UFO right there. That UFO is above the same star fort city the woman is above and the guy is fighting. So this is all related. That's why you see them in clouds. But the truth is they are in a UFO that can cloak itself like a cloud. If you look to the far left, this is the exact same image. It's a male and a female, and they're in the cloud. And there's a whole bunch of clouds behind them, which gives you the feeling of UFOs, that people are coming over here in UFOs. And these UFOs can cloak itself, but they're beings on the inside. And I'm saying those beings are a little bit different because they seem to have animal DNA mixed in with them. Like somewhere the success of blending animal to man has actually, has occurred. But all of these goes together. This is part of the World War X. This is what they don't want us to see. And that's why I said, quite possibly, they've tried to write this in a book. But you know that they've went on burning parties right there. So burning up all the books. So you can only catch this now in an illustration or either on coins. This is a strong one right here because this gives the name of the God that is said to have done all this conquering right here. So if you look at the top, it says Yahweh. And if you look on the coin right above me, in the ship right above me, it says Yahweh right in the top. And this is an illustration from 1665 right here. So they're saying with those three hands that there's something that came and flooded the world. And it's saying Yahweh did it. Now, Yahweh could be people like Yahwehians. It doesn't have to be a single God. That's the reason why I said that, it's showing a male and a female. So far as I'm concerned, these are two people, two beings, probably DNA wise different than us. But these people are requiring us to praise them. I don't believe that the Yahweh has lived thousands of years. It could be that something has been in power over us for that many years. Like I believe the three hands coming out of the cloud right there is like three flood events that we possibly went through. And these people has been resetting us every time that, it seems like we don't comply. But Yahweh is up at the top. Yahweh is in the ship, and it's a male and a female. So some of y'all might say it's God and the mother goddess, or Kronos and Rhea, and the little child is Zeus. That's how deep this go right here, if you even apply mythology to this. But this is the attacker, Yahweh, and it's saying during the last paradigm, quite possibly, this is the ones who attacked. This image right here, again, you can't find a book that's going to tell you this right here, but somebody took the time, people took the time to put this together. So I had to find these coins and, you know, place them in order. But it does show that the coin on the left, something shot from above down to a star fort city and it blew it up. It's two different types of explosions. The one on the right, you can see has a small plume of smoke there. And then the bottom coin is actually showing a building hit. So we know that this wasn't done by a cannon. We have something that came most recently and it bombed everything strong enough to where it looks like destruction happened thousands of years ago. And we might have went through this maybe 5, 6, 700 years ago. But this is the Yahwehs in their spaceship, husband, wife, firing at the star forts. And these, to me, are the things that reset us. It's showing literally a building being blown up. You can call that coincidence right there, but I don't call that coincidence. That's why I say, can a coin speak like a book? When we get deeper with this right here, you can see the man in the cloud on the left in the gold coin. You can see the triangle around his head and it has a particular glow. See, after they conquered us, they left rules for us and they left watchers over us. So these watchers are people who are sitting in power, sitting in your church, you know, sitting on the throne. And if you can see the coin in the middle, there is the priest, he's in the cloud. Well, we now know the cloud is a UFO. That is what the cloud is. So this is telling you that the Yahweh are people who expect us to praise them. And they had success because everybody praised Yahweh right now. If you look to the far right, you can see the triangle with the eye and the cloud. Okay, the gold coin is showing you whose eye that is. That's what's showing you. The gold coin is showing you whose eye. The triangle is around his head and there's a cloud underneath him just like that. So it's a UFO with a man there and he is the enlightened one. He is the one ruling over everyone. It's another person whose DNA is different. We're being told that this is the creator of everything. And I'm saying this is the destroyer. This person right here is the one who comes and destroys every time you rebel. And it has placed religion down on us, Christianity and Islam. This is the ones that they are praising right here. And these beings right here operate UFOs. They probably come from a different area. I'm open-minded to coming from beyond the ice wall. But they have created their religion. And that's why I said that triangle with the eye, that is a representation of the being that came here and conquered. This is a great one right here. If you look, the coin in the middle, it says Yahweh. It's above a star fort city. And if you look to the left and to the right, there's two other beings up in the cloud that is above the same type of star fort city. So I'm saying that our last grid in the world was star fort cities, not the grids that we have now. So we were living in free energy societies at this time period. That's why you see all those buildings. The coin on the left literally looks like high rises, but something that is different. The Yahwehs, they come black and they come white. So the coin on the left, it's a black Yahweh. He's got the glow around his head. And on the right is a white Yahweh. And he's got the glow around his head, floating in the cloud. You know the cloud is the UFO. So that's Yahweh's name right there. And the Yahweh to me could be a people or a particular position, like say Caesar. It could possibly even be that. But it's something that has conquered us and has forced our governments to praise it like a god, like it is taught to us to praise it. This is the reason why they wrote this in the scriptures. The problem is When we woke up, this war was already done. When we start to realize this war was already done, but there were people who were alive during this. And obviously, contact was made to where man has been following these beings ever since. We're underneath the Yahweh rule. And the Yahweh, I'm saying, is quite possibly, a male and a female. That is what the Yahweh is. A male and female and their child. That could be Kronos and his wife Rhea with Zeus. This is all the mythology and everything. But no matter what name that we choose to call it, it's still an invasion that it seems like we went through. And it reset us. And this is where we are right now. And I'm saying the Yahweh of the Old Testament are beings that come from somewhere, and they attacked us, and they have been resetting us. And that's the reason why our government possibly won't let you go past that ice wall. It's because you're going to see, and then we're going to have to do something about it. This is what's taking the children. This is why we can't stop none of this madness in the world. It's because we are under control right there. So this is World War X, and we are still in this war. All the World War Ones and twos are the wars they set up to have us fight each other. That's what's going on. But this war right here is on the level of the movie Independence Day. And they do not want us to know this right here, family. So to the next time, because I'm definitely going to drop another version of this right here. I believe that we can get down to who are some of the kings and even some of the wars that are UFO wars, again, that are not spoken of. There are other battles that has been recorded. I'm only showing the ones that are showing up on the coins, because this is the hardest to believe. We are taught to believe what's written in a book, and there's nothing wrong with that. But who is controlling the narrative? And that's the point right there, family. So until the next time, thank you for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace.